Ooh, yo. I know. It's late. It's late. We should have been halfway done by now. I know. Yo, be honest with y'all. Keep it 100. Some life be lifing. Life be lifing, but it's it's still an episode I want to get to. I wanted to talk to. I'm gonna still try to keep my energy up. I got my tips, got my snacks right here. We got a lot to talk about. We got a whole lot to talk about. There's a lot that happened in this late, crazy episode of House of the Dragon, right? Now, for all of y'all who are new here, I just want to start saying something. This is going to be my House of the Dragon recap. We're going to be going live for a little bit. For those of y'all who read the book, do me a favor. You, do me a favor. This ain't the spot. This ain't the time to be showing off your knowledge. This ain't the time to try to get some brownie points with the crowd, get some likes, all that. It's not the spot for that. If you read the book, you know what's going to happen next. Do me a favor, keep it to yourself. I'm going to need you to hold that down. You can add some insight into things that we may have already seen, but it's really, really important if you just please do not try to spoil the show for the rest of us who do not know what's going to happen next. But yeah, let's get into this episode because there was a lot that popped off in this episode. Where am I at here? Oh, Bird, right? Images, screenshots. There we go. Ooh. Yeah, now we'll. There we go. I know y'all all see it now. I have a couple little surprises for some of y'all that is hanging out here. I did do something new. There is something I did want to try out. I am going to try it out a little bit later. But for those of you who are checking this out, yeah, where's that? It's going to show up down here in the banner. You're going to see that we got a new option. We got a new option for you to interact and engage with me while I'm going live, and give you an opportunity to actually call in and chat and ask your questions. Now, it's something I'm going to try to save for like maybe a little bit later, but I definitely want to be able to have an opportunity to not only hear from y'all from the comments, but also hear from y'all verbally. Y'all can talk to me, talk to your boy. But yeah, it's time to break down this crazy episode of House of the Dragon. Targaryens again cooks than a lobster boil. I know this episode was a lot, especially after dealing with the aftermath of what happened in episode 4. We got to see a lot of the reaction of the folks in Dragonstone after learning of the death of Princess Rhaenys. And I'm gonna be honest, right? Because like the death of Princess Rhaenys, this was kind of like our Ned Stark moment, right? This was the woman who played by the rules and got played, right? Imagine trying to be the voice of reason in a world where folks solve problems by setting things on fire or beheading each other. And she had so many chances to unleash her inner dragon, right? She had so many opportunities, but she always chose the high road. And look where it got her. Look where it got her. It's like being the designated driver at your frat party. Smart move, but you're surrounded by a bunch of drunk idiots. And we had like so many moments where she showed grace and wisdom and just knew to try to avoid conflict. She knew what it would mean if she would have won to end King Aegon, but stayed her hand, because that would have meant so much, right? That would have meant so much. It could have been interpreted by so many different citizens in so many different ways. The people of King's Landing could have seen that as Rhaenys as the one to slay the king. Maybe she deserves to be queen. Maybe that's her throne to hold down at this point. Because you got to think about it. It feels like in a lot of ways that the person who slays the king has the right to kind of claim the crown for himself, right? We see Daemon going on this campaign to seize the throne, and we know that later in Game of Thrones, you know, Robert Baratheon is able to claim the crown by slaying the king. I think his name was Rhaegar, King Rhaegar Targaryen. So think about it. If Rhaenys had done the deed of taking out the Greens back at the end of season 1, honestly, real chance that she would have had to make the choice to either claim the crown for herself or hand the throne over to her niece and give it to Viserys' rightful heir. And I think I kind of would have liked to have seen that personally. Like, personally, I think it would have been kind of cool if she had taken the crown. Because think about it. You can only imagine what life would have been like if she had claimed it, right? She would have been holding the dragon pit. Plus, she already had her own dragons with her and her son. Plus, she had her husband's fleet in Mark. Rhaenys would have been a force to be reckoned with if she had taken that moment to be selfish. But she was wise enough to excuse herself out of that drama and instead pursue peace. It's like watching someone walk away from a free Chinese buffet. It's like, you're not hungry? And she had this moment early in the season when she reminded everyone at small council that Rhaenyra is her father's daughter. Rhaenyra wears the crown of Viserys, King Jaehaerys, and the kingdom enjoyed decades of peace under their rule. Anyway, we're going to talk about all this and more. I'm super excited to revisit this episode and dissect these moments of this fiery episode of House of the Dragon. So again, in this live stream, I'm going to talk about our favorite show from a non-book reader's perspective. I'm the broke YouTuber. I know I'm the one who didn't subscribe to Audible, just listen or go to the library and read a book. I don't need paper. I'm allergic to it. But I haven't done the research in going through the books, but I do feel like I deserve to know everything that's happening. But yeah, I just want to have a few points that we dissect in this episode. Just wanted to point that out for you book readers out there. I appreciate all of you who are watching from YouTube, from Facebook. I see some of y'all hopping out. It's all good. Now, again, I want to go through some of these key moments in this episode. Now, one of the main key moments I want to talk about is that exchange with Corlys and his granddaughter. I want to talk about that because I thought that was really powerful. We get a lot of Black family moments. I love that. I want to talk about Aemon's quiet way of power, right? Because this is like he's been playing a quiet game, but look where he's at now. I want to talk about Daemon, and I want to talk about him building up his forces for war. He's just been AWOL lately. It's not been good lately, and we got to figure out what's really going to be going on with Daemon. I also want to talk about stepping up and pushing his mom to find more dragon riders because this feels like this is going to be huge. But yeah, we have a lot to talk about. So again, folks. Hey, I see y'all 1, 2, 3. Look, do me a favor. You two or three that are still here. Do me a favor before you bounce. Hit that like button. I know. Do me a favor. 24 still helps people like me out on YouTube. It goes a long way. Hit that like button. I appreciate you. Anyway, let's hop right into it because this episode had a lot. Now, one of the first things that caught my eye about this episode was Corlys's throne. Like, yo, did you see Corlys's throne? This thing is really made of driftwood. Like, it's really yo, that's some serious. I spent all my time on a boat energy. Like, all of wood? What were you thinking? I get it though, right? This is the ancestral of the House Velaryon, and it shows Velaryons that are the original recyclers of Westeros. Nah. But I found out that this throne is actually constructed from driftwood that washes up on the shores of Driftmark. So that's why this throne looks like this. Actually has some significance for them. And I like how the Velaryon you know, everything about them is water and salt and ocean. It's consistent in everything down to their throne. But Corlys is going through it, right? He's really going through it, right? He sits down in his throne in this moment, and he's just taking it all in, and he's mourning the loss of his wife, Rhaenys. We then switch to see that even Rhaenyra is going through it in her own way, but the show doesn't really devote too much time to the mourning, and instead switches over to the shock and the awe, because we didn't get over to the people of King's Landing, right? The people of King's Landing. What the F is that they're eating? what is that? What is that? Is that old? Yo, they put that on a plate. Yo, the people of King's Landing are looking rougher than a week-old biscuit. What is this? This looks like something they found in a closed Red Lobster. Like, what are they doing? Yo, are they that desperate? Yo, it looked like, I don't know. Desperate times, desperate measures. I don't know. But we know that the way that these people are looking is a direct of Rhaenyra and her council restricting trade back to King's Landing. Now, it's been some time, but we can see that the people of King's Landing are running out of supplies, right? And a lot of them, they're barely getting by. And the people look like something out of an Instagram Subway Creatures page. Like, some of them are filthier than normal, right? And then they have this Sir Kristen and Sir Gawain returning, and they're carting a dragon head through town. Can you imagine? This look like you know, when you have like those stray cats that come and bring you a rat to your door. You don't want this. And the people are freaking the F out, right? The people are freaking all the way out. Like, Crispy came back thinking that they was going to throw a parade, like they was going to barbecue dragon meat, like it was going to be, like it was about to go down like it was Juneteenth. Like, he came all the way back, like proud, like why they not celebrating? And Sir Gawain is the smart one. He just side eyes the hell out of him, and it's like, how dumb are you? And you know, this moment here where we see Sir Kristen is just again just one step out of touch with the people of King's Landing. It's like, this is the stuff that Hightower was talking about when he was yelling at his son Aegon about hanging the rat catchers, and Crispin just backed them up. They just don't get how their actions are going to cause an immediate reaction from the people of King's Landing. And we know that this is going to be a problem later. I love this part though, because this is the early embers of the fire. Oh, and like the people, like, it's hard to remember. Like, you got to think of it, like you got to kind of imagine yourself in their shoes. Like, these are people who don't have no cell phones, they're not watching TMZ, they don't have no newspapers, right? They don't have anything to distract them in life. They're simple people, so they get spooked out by the idea of dragons. And you even hear some of them whisper, like, yo, I thought they were gods. And this is terrible for the Greens. This is absolutely terrible. Like, the people's already hungry. They already got to walk past their loved ones hanging from nooses in the middle of town. They already got to deal with all the other challenges of living under the conditions of a war with a young king. This is the last thing the Greens need, because this is just another example of them losing faith from the citizens in King's Landing, and this is what's going to leave them vulnerable for the White Worm's plan later in the episode. Now, again, I see you, Gothic chick. I see you. Don't forget to do me a favor, hit me with that like. I appreciate you. But yeah, for those of you who are watching on Instagram, I know some of y'all sneaking in and out. I appreciate you. Don't forget to give me a heart before y'all move on to the next thing. I love you. Oh, we also move on in this, and we see Sir Hugh show up. And as the dragon is being carted by town, he says something slick like it's just meat. Like, he doesn't have the same reverence for the dragons as the rest of the people in town. That was kind of interesting. We also got this really, really, really gory look of Meleese. Like, this is tough. This is tough. Like, going from last week where we had moments where Meleese was like looking over her shoulder, like looking back at Rhaenys, like, to this. This is tough. And yeah, we see Aegon over here. He has this moment where he's standing with his mom. He's looking all like, my guy is so proud. He's standing there rocking the Conqueror's dagger as his prize and everything. And Allison just kind of dips on it without really saying much of a word. We then see them carry the body of Aegon, and the Maesters get to work on him immediately after this kind of addressing something. It's like, I like how this moment kind of addresses the fact or the conversation about whether or not Targaryens are fireproof, right? Because this was something that's been a question I know online since Game of Thrones. We saw those moments when Daenerys would just not get burned, but she should have been burned, right? Targaryens just have a history of being really, able to withstand high heat, hot baths, all sorts of weird stuff like that. But this episode right here kind of addresses something in that, whether or not they're fireproof. And they not. No. They might be fire resistant, kind of like those cheap oven mitts you regret buying. You know, them cheap ones from Family Dollar, the $5 ones with the flour. Don't buy those. You're going to regret those because you're going to get burned, kind of like him. And they not fire. And the show goes a little far with what they're doing because it reminds us in this time that, the show can be really, really, really graphic. They even get this moment where they show us resetting, where they show the mace setting the bone and everything. Like, I hope none of y'all was eating when they were showing it, because this is rough. This is and creepy ass Aemon just don't say nothing about nothing except that somebody's gonna have to be in charge while Aegon is down. And yo, that's like, brothers, like, I'm glad none of my brothers is like, at least I don't think none of y'all is like this, but I'm glad my brothers, at least they're not like that. Allison doesn't ask Aemon a single thing, right? She doesn't ask Aemon a single thing because she's not even talking to dude, right? Instead, she decides, I'm gonna go ask Boo. I'm gonna go talk to Kristen, and I'm gonna go see what the hell happened to my son, because he's gonna answer me. But Kristen, in this moment, he wasn't really trying to answer her questions. He was not really trying to answer her questions, and I'm still trying to process like Kristen's moves and his behavior and the way that he moves and the way that he behaves. Like, why? All the whys of the moment. He didn't say anything about Aegon. He didn't say anything about Aemon, which is just whatever. So this guy right here, I have mixed feelings about him because, I see online that people put him up there with like some of the worst villains of the show. He gets compared to Joffrey. He gets compared to Roose Bolton. And I'm going to be honest with y'all that I wasn't really on board with none of that. I wasn't really on board with any of that, for real. Like, I was feeling bad for Crispy. I know I'm making fun of him, but for a while I was feeling bad for him because you got to remember that my guy is just a victim of the royal family's bullshit. Like, don't forget that he was just trying to be a knight, right? He was just some dude. He was in a tournament. He was trying to be a knight. He fought in the wars. He done did his wars, and he was applying for a job to be a King's Guard in King's Landing during a time of peace. He looked like he was ready to wrap it all up, right? But then he got caught up in all of Rhaenyra's teenage BS when she was just trying to sow her royal oats. So, I was feeling bad for him because my guy just didn't really want to be a side piece. And I was kind of feeling for Crispy. I didn't really side with the idea that he was on some Joffrey or some Roose Bolton, because he's really just a lover scorn. Like, we all could kind of relate to that one person who did us dirty. But this right here, the way he plays Allison, like she didn't just give him her napkin and like he's siding with the kids. Like, yo, what is up with that? So that's kind of the stuff that makes me like him less, because he's been acting like this for decades. It's been decades, right? Aemon wasn't even born when any of that happened. So for him to be acting like this is wild, because he should have been moved on. But again, they ain't got no TV, they ain't got no TMZ, they ain't got no movie blog, they ain't got YouTube, ain't no Game of Thrones to watch for them. They just get into some mess instead. Anyway, back in Dragonstone, this Sir Alfred Broom is mouthing off again. Yo. And he's frustrated. He's frustrated as they're following the gentler sex in a time of battle. And, you know, I'm kind of glad that Rhaenyra shut his ass down and reminds him that they all been living in peace under Viserys and Jaehaerys' rule, right? He hasn't seen not one lick of battle. Not one lick of battle. He hasn't seen not one lick of battle. So he doesn't have any more experience at this table than Rhaenyra has. And it's like watching a keyboard warrior get owned by facts. Now, I am a little curious as to why Rhaenys had seen battle prior to this show, because when she met up with Meleys that time right before the battle, I could swear she said something like, "Here we go again, old girl." And they had been down a skirmish or two, but I don't know. Anyway, yeah, the council here start making some really valid points, right? They let Rhaenyra start talking for a second, and she starts talking about how, you know, she starts talking about how, you know, let's send to Maidenpool and Claw Point and shore up defenses there just in case Cole starts coming with their forces. And the council ain't trying to hear none of that. They ain't trying to hear none of that. And I got to admit, you know, in a time of war, right now, Rhaenyra, I love you, but we in a fight. Okay? We in a fight. We can't keep playing nothing defense, and it's not going to be good if we try. We can't show up on defense alone. The council wants to go straight to King's Landing, betting that Vhagar is depleted after his battle with Meleys. And Rhaenyra shows her frustration, which insisting that she go into battle herself. So if she didn't just hear what happened to Aegon's dumbass who went into battle. Like, this is dumb. This is dumb. We already missing Rhaenys. On one hand, the council is made up of a bunch of sexist assholes, right? They're terrible in that way, right? They're about as useful as like a chocolate teapot. But on the other hand, Rhaenyra still needs them. And she needs to inspire them to be ready to fight back when her mans and them get disrespected in these streets. You know, it's like Tony Soprano, right? You know, Tony Soprano, big tough guy. And he gets approached by his nephew. And his nephew tells him, like, yo, someone beat me up. Someone robbed me. Someone called me a mitch. Sent me home. And Tony was like, oh, well, you know, let's tell all the other guys that there's a bully around and they should get... No, Rhaenyra. No. Now is not... Fight back. Now's the time to fight back. And we get this cool moment with Jace. Right? We get this cool moment with Jace. And Jace is all sorts of frustrated at this point. And I feel like, you know, he's supposed to be this show's version of Robb Stark, in that he's like the firecracker who's next in line, and he's dying to prove himself. And I like that. I really do. I kind of like that about his character. In fact, I'm starting to like his character more and more as we spend more time with him, right? Because he's brave. He has great potential. But but he's not being given the opportunity to get out there and show everyone what he's capable of. And I like how he's ready to take it straight to Daemon in this moment. And he's tired of them always putting his betrothed at risk while he's waiting here where it's safe in Dragonstone. And I also like how much time we're getting with Baela, right? I like how much time we get in with Baela because we start to see a lot of her personality in this episode, and we start to better understand just what kind of woman she's growing into, right? She's someone who seems perfectly comfortable out patrolling these Westeros streets and seems like someone who's been outside, right? She's been outside. Anyway, Jace gets this great idea to try to convince the Freys to allow the men that Cregan sending from the north to help fight for Rhaenyra. Then they would have the forces that they need to attack King's Landing, and they wouldn't have to wait for Daemon's help. And he could go and meet with them and get them on board. And I know some of us Game of Thrones OGs are immediately saying right here and right now, like, no, no, anybody but the Freys, them, right? Them dudes ain't known for their loyalty. They would sell their own grandma for decent bridge toll. Like, the Freys are the family of from Game of Thrones that Robb Stark made a deal with to marry one of Walder Frey's daughters, and it was supposed to be so that he could secure passage for his men to come from the north to attack King's Landing. So kind of same deal. Right? Robb ended up reneging on that promise. And it just, I just, you know, and anyway, one thing was, I didn't understand the importance of this bridge. I didn't understand the importance of this bridge. Like, why was this place with the Frey so important? Until I found a map. So I found this map online of Westeros, and it kind of helps me get a better idea of why, you know, where some of these places are and why all of this stuff is important. Because, you know, we kind of see a map in the credits of the show, but we don't really get a lot of context of where things are. So one thing that I wanted to point out was so first off, let's start off with where is the north? So all the way up here is Castle Black. We've got the Wall. We've got Winterfell. The people that Cregan Stark is sending is coming from way up here in Castle Black. And they are supposed to be making their way all the way down from Winterfell to Winterfell, all the way down through all of the land here, all the way down until they hit the King's Road. Now, you see here, this is the Twins. Just remember where that is for a quick second. King's Landing is way down here. That is far. That is far, and they're on foot. So, like, it's good that Craig promised his men to help. Let's be honest. Hey, it's going to be a while. The Freys hold this land here, the Twins. And here is where you see like a lot of passages of water, some marshlands, and I'm assuming that if they're coming from the north, they've got a couple options, right? They already have to cross this river here. They've got to cross this river there. They got to cross this stream here. They don't really want to just keep crossing streams. But if they get passage through here, they can go straight to the King's Road. Otherwise, they have to go this way. It's a much longer route, right? We don't know what kind of obstacles or challenges they're going to come across along the way. Anyway, this is where I've started to better understand why the Freys were so important, both in Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, in order to allow armies from the north to come all the way down to try to attack King's Landing, because it's far. It probably takes them months, if not years, to travel with a big enough army to get there. Anyway, but yeah, it's a idea from Jace to go and get the phrase help to allow them passage, and he's off to the races, right? We then Daemon, who tries to bully the Brackens to bend the knee with his but all bullshit aside, yo, the Brackens ain't no punks. Yo, they tell Daemon to his face, straight up to his face, screw you, screw your little Mitch Blackwood friend over there, and oh yeah, screw your dragon too. And yo, I know that the ish talking is a little OD, but it kind of speaks to my inner ratchetness in a way that few others can, because they just don't give a F about this dragon and they just rode off. But the Blackwood boy is not happy that Daemon didn't cook them right then and there, but he's not, he's not really following the same motive as Daemon. Because you got to be, let's be honest, in reality, he's just trying to have Daemon help him with his cause to exact vengeance on the Brackens. And Daemon, he's really just trying to unite them so he can take King's Landing. And this is definitely a recipe for disaster, right? Daemon is either blind to the fact or straight up ignoring the fact that the animosity between these two houses is so intense that it's basically a lost cause to try to unite them. But either way, he tries to inspire this guy with bad deeds the same way he tries to Oscar Tully last episode. But Willem is a little bit more open to the suggestion. Now, Daemon suggests that he try to persuade them, and Willem is like, but every man has a weakness. And Daemon is all like, yeah, you take my meaning then. And I ain't going to front. I honestly thought Daemon was telling him to just, grab some of the boys and bring the Brackens on down to the Blackwood brothel and vibe it out. I honestly think Daemon thought he was telling them that too for a second too. But boy, oh boy, do we learn. Do we? It's hard to tell with Daemon because he dances between being a hero and a villain so often and so casually. It's hard to really keep up with what his motives really are. But we then switched to Rhaenyra, who made her way, not Rhaenyra, Rhaena, right? We switched to Rhaena, who made her way to the Eyrie, right? And she's now speaking with Lady Jane Arryn, who Rhaenyra sent her there for protection. Now, this scene is pretty interesting because we're seeing more and more of Rhaena, right? Rhaena meets Lady Jane Arryn, but she's still holding on to that resentment being sent here in the first place. And Lady Jane is tight that she got played when she asked Rhaenyra to send her a dragon, and she sent something to the equivalent of a baby dragon. Neither of them like the situation. Jane seems to kind of get it. They kind of bond over their shared frustrations. We then switch to Rhaenyra. And Rhaenyra's with Mysaria. They're talking about how the meeting with her small council went earlier. And the white worm, Mysaria, she's way too smart. She's way too smart. She reads everything just by getting it secondhand from Rhaenyra. And she coaches her on what to do. She even kisses ass, telling her you are your father's chosen successor. And let me tell you, as someone who in another life in sales, let me tell you that a good salesperson knows these techniques. Conversation control, getting them to say yes, getting them to agree to anything. This is one of those conversation techniques when you kiss ass like this. And I like that the white worm ultimately helps, right? She's kind of like a Westerosi life coach. Psychological warfare, I'm here for it. I don't know her goals. Outside of getting revenge on the High Towers. Also, those who were wondering, the difference between a hilt and a foible is that the handle pretty much makes up the hilt, and the foible is like the edge of the blade. Just in case you were wondering. Now, Rhaenyra admits that she isn't planning on calling Daemon for help anymore, but she isn't sure what to do either. Mysaria tells her that Kristen paraded that dragon head through town, and now the people are afraid. Bread is scarce. The king has fallen. And I can't help but wonder, how the hell does she know all of this? Like, how does she know? How's her reach that far that fast? This just happened like 20 minutes ago. Anyway, the White Worm has a genius idea to use the discontent of the people of King's Landing to turn them against the Greens. And the moment that she said that, I stood up. I stood up and said, that's fucking genius. That was fucking genius. Because think about it. The show's been building up to a rebellion all season long, right? The people already had to deal with a dragon interrupting the crowning of Aegon. The princes that were lost as part of the Civil War. Let's not forget we done lost 2 princes already. And they're starving. They're starving because they've been made to live without of trade and supplies as part of a consequence of this war that they didn't choose, right? And things are just going from bad to the people of King's Landing. And they, just to top it off, they see the head of what some of them looked at as a deity being paraded through the streets, and that's just the icing on the cake, right? And the was genius for this one. She's the real MVP because they don't even need to fight back physically. They just need to get in the minds of the people around them and enact a psychological warfare. And I'm here for this. What's wild to me is that they sent like one person, right? They sent like one person. I thought they was going to send like a whole gang of people. They sent like one person. We then switch to Rhaenyra talking to Baela as they mourn the passing of Princess Rhaenys, right? I remember this moment. They talk about how Rhaenys first claimed her dragon, Meleys, and how it originally belonged to Daemon's mother, Alyssa Targaryen, and hinted that Daemon may have tried to claim Meleys at some point in the past, but Meleys may have rejected him and instead allow her to be claimed by Princess Rhaenys instead. This is kind of interesting to know that Daemon may have tried to claim his mother's dragon after her passing. Now, he is a complicated character, but this facet of lost love may explain why he is the way he is now. Anyway, they talk a bit about they talk a bit more, right? They talk a bit more with Rhaenyra throwing some doublespeak when she says, you are very like her in some ways. And she asked Baela to give her grandfather a box. We then switch to Daemon seemingly abed with some... Where's he at? Here he is. We then switch to Daemon, right? And he's abed. And this time he's in bed with some Targaryen-looking woman. And he is getting it in. He's getting it in. And the woman talks about how Daemon was better suited for the crown and all this and all that and all the sweet things that he wants to hear. And then we learn that the woman that Daemon is fantasizing about in this moment, that's his mom. That's his mom. That's Alyssa Targaryen. And wow, this whole scene kind of the idea that Daemon has trauma related to his mom's. Like, I think his mother passed away after a difficult childbirth, which is something we see happen with these Targaryens. And I think Daemon was something like 3 years old when she passed. So he definitely didn't get a lot of time to have with his mother. So there's no telling how he processed all of that, especially when you take into account that he's a Targaryen, like Targaryens are already a little intense due to, all the incest that they like to do. But they have to internalize that kind of experience that they have on. It's weird for them. But so that's a whole nother facet to Daemon that we're starting to explore here. We then switch to Daemon once again, seemingly just waking up in the middle of an event. Again, he just wakes up in another event with Alice Rivers being seen here as the cupbearer for the evening. And all two of you, am I the only one that thinks that this woman might be roofing Damon? Like, let's think about this for a second. Let's look at facts. Like, my guy blacks out and he can't remember what happened the whole night. Like, kind of like a night at P. Diddy's house. My guy having weird sex dreams. And in his dreams, he's imagining he's having sex with his mom. Or is he imagining? And each time it happens, this same chick is in the Is he getting roofied? Like, I'm curious. Like I know. Like, what is happening here? I'm curious what other people this. I'm gonna throw it out there. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I think she's taking advantage of Damon. Anyway, Damon is getting the people of Harrenhal to repair the castle, and he has this insistence to not bring her his help or money in his efforts. He also makes it clear that he wants to be referred to as the king from now on. Like, he's just going to upgrade it himself. We then switch to Alicent, who is learning the hard news about Aegon's injuries and how severe they are. I see you, Gothic chick. Yeah, she roofied. But Alicent is learning about Aegon's injuries. And it's rough, right? And the Maester lets her know that it's above him now. And Aegon is in the hands of the gods. Alicent explains that, it's a time to assign a regent of the crown in the king's absence. And she does the right thing and nominates herself because she does have the experience, right? When Viserys was sick and ill, she ruled King's Landing in his stead. But the council wants to pick Aemond, with Alicent not liking the idea at all. Like, she don't like this idea at all. Reminding them that, look, again, I ruled King's Landing before and I can do it again. And Aemond is silent. Aemond is not saying a word. And what's worse is that Alicent has this moment where she reaches out to her so-called allies at the council and they turn their backs on her. Like, Lord Varys and Sir Crispy, they both pick Aemond, with Alicent feeling utterly and truly alone. And one-eyed Legolas, grabs his orb and immediately gets to business by coordinating the war strategy. He's like, yo, let's start coordinating talks with the Tullys, who that's kind of important because now I'm paying attention to these things when they say them. But the Tullys, those were the ones that we just saw Damon tough talk with last episode, right? He was talking to Oscar Tully, like, yo, put a pillow over your grandfather's face. And they didn't really rock with that. Aemond also tells him to lock down King's Landing so that nobody could enter or leave without the consent of the crown. Oh, and he also wants to cut down those effing rat catchers. Now, I like how he assumed power and immediately just gets to work, because you could tell he's preparing for this his whole life. But everybody is a little bit nervous in this moment. Especially Alicent. Now, we then switch to the guy with the white hair. And white beard. Anyway, he's the guy that was promised help from the crown, but the help never came. And white hair. Let's just hold that for a little bit. Let's just hold that thought for a little bit. We're gonna come. I think we're gonna come back to that. But yeah. Anyway, his wife is like ready, and she's tired. She's tired of waiting for the king to provide payment for his men's work. She's ready to leave King's Landing in search of a better place. We then switch to see that the rat catchers getting cut down. And we even get to see that Cheese's dog is still there. He's there. Look, I know I didn't have the screenshot of it, but I know there's a lot of dog lovers out there that have taken a liking to this pup. So it's cool that we see that he's still around. Allison, this is a cool little moment with Allison and Cole, because she confronts Cole for not being loyal to her, and she doesn't know about Cole's motivations, which is coming to bite her. She doesn't know about that whole history with Rhaenyra. She doesn't know about his revenge. She doesn't know any of that. Furthermore, she doesn't know what happened at Rook's Rest. And Cole just explains that he's just not the same anymore. He gets it now. See, before he was just used to regular war. Like, regular war is regular war. He'd seen that before. But now he's seen what Dragon War looks like. And that's a whole nother level of trauma that he was ready for, right? He's now at the point where he's washing his hands of it and admitting that this is a Dragon's War now. Now, something that I keep noticing in the I listen to the behind the scenes of House of the Dragon, and one thing that the creators repeat is that in the world of Westeros, dragons are like the equivalent of nuclear weapons in modern day times. Like, nuclear weapons are supposed to be a deterrent, right? You don't really want to have to use a nuclear weapon because of all of the damage, all of the stuff that just comes with it. It's just, it's more so something that you want to keep in your back pocket and threaten people with. But now the dragons are loose, and Dragon War has already started. And now that it's already started, you can't put that back. You can't go back the way it was now that it started. Right? Once you start a nuclear war, the only thing that you're going to do is inspire someone to try to get their own nuclear arms. Nobody wants to feel threatened like that again. And now we're just going to see dragon on dragon violence. And Cole, my guy, he thinks he's doing her a favor. And Allison reminds him that she didn't give him permission to call her by her name. Like, I thought that one was funny. Like, he called her Allison out in the open. Anyway, we then switch to Hugh get into the gates. Right, they're closed in his face as he and a mob of people are trying to leave King's Landing, but the gold cloaks are keeping them inside by the order of Prince Regent Aemon Targaryen, of the realm. And I know that this dude's wife is pissed. I know she's pissed. She told his ass it was time to go, but he had to stop and think about it. Now, we then switch to Jace, who's way out at the Twins, where he's having a conversation with the Freys. Now, we just saw the map. We know that my guy just flew as far as all get out to get to the Freys, and they go far just to talk to the Freys. And Jace off the rip hears from the Freys that, their Lord Grover Tully hasn't pledged for Rhaenyra. And there's that name again. There's that name again, Grover Tully. Now, we heard this name again last with Daemon, right? When he met with Grover's grandson, Oscar Tully, and Daemon was pretty much a jerk to this kid and suggested that he smother his grandfather with a pillow in order for Oscar to take control of the forces. Something tells me that most of the realm still consider Rhaenyra and Daemon to be on the same side. So him talking all wild to Oscar probably is going to come back to haunt them later on in the story. Anyway, the Freys are only sort of loyal to the Tullys, and they're willing to hear what Jace has to say. They explain that their main concern is with Vhagar, and after what Vhagar just did last episode, I'm sure he put the whole Seven Realms on notice. Like, problem. Jace makes a deal with the Freys to give them Harrenhal and protection in exchange for their help and support. I don't know how that's going to play out, because he also promised that Daemon is going to help. And Daemon, I don't know where we're going to go with Daemon, because Daemon's going through right now. We switched to Daemon in this next scene, and my guy's over here just chopping wood. That's a metaphor. Chopping wood. And Alice Winters is like stalking him, like that Chris Brown stalker, like just. And what's wild is like we can hear screams of women and the sounds of fire without explanation or context. And Alice explains how she's hearing strange things from Brackenland about how she's hearing the cries of the anguish of women in war. And this is kind of weird because she also says that she's not hearing stories. She's hearing it from the winds. Now, she gives us another one of those moments where she said something weird. Last time she said she's a person. She's now cursed to take human form. Now she's saying she can actually hear the voices being carried across the winds. This woman doesn't dress like anybody in Harrenhal. To my knowledge, I don't see not one person interacting with her other than Daemon. I don't even know if she's there, y'all. Like, I know that she's been talking to Daemon, you know, giving him lucid dreams while roofing him. But something I've been noticing is nobody else speaks with her. There's a little moment here where like Simon kind of like looks at her, but we already saw once before that Daemon hallucinates other people. Like he had that moment when he saw his wife as a couple when it was really another woman. So we don't know who Sir Simon saw in that moment. Anyway, this whole thing right here is wild because it goes back to that moment when Daemon was talking to Sir Willem, right? And it was after the Brackens had turned down his request for him to join his army. And Daemon said that they just needed some persuading. And again, at the time, I thought what they meant was for them to just have some wine, go down to the brothel. But it seems like that Daemon might have knew just what he was talking about. He just approved all of this that was going on. You know, what it takes to get men to follow him. Alice mentions how in times of war, the weak and powerless are the least likely to survive. And they go back and forth some more with Alice, once again invoking the name of Daemon's wife, and he freezes in his tracks. Daemon then mentions how Rhaenyra can't take the crown because the people will never follow her due to their sexist thinking. Alice then mentions how it's a pity that Daemon never knew his mother, which once again stops Daemon in his tracks. And more, I feel like the death of Meleys, the dragon, might be affecting Daemon, as Meleys could have been seen by Daemon as something as the last living connection to the mother that he never knew. Anyway, before we can finish that conversation, we get interrupted by Sir Simon that House Bracken has agreed to fight for Daemon. And like I said, he looks at her. He doesn't really talk to her. She just disappears. Now, we then switch to one of my favorite moments in the episode when we switch to see Lord Corlys standing by himself by moonlight, getting visited by his granddaughter, Baela. Baela speaks with him in a loving, but, a kind of stern way that's both touching and painful, especially when Baela shares that Rhaenyra wishes to name Lord Corlys as her hand. And Corlys starts talking from grief. And Baela starts talking some sense into him when she reminds him that Rhaenys was a Targaryen, and they are made of fire and blood. Baela is going to support the cause that Rhaenys died supporting, and she leaves her grandfather to do as he sees fit. And he tried to name her as her heir, and she even says that she is blood and fire, and Driftmark must pass the sea and salt. And I really like this moment because, of course, I like the moment with, the black characters getting some time to shine. But I also like this because Baela is constantly showing that she is stepping up as a person of leadership, right? She's the one who's out on patrol. She's the one who's like the sword or the blade up to her husband. Like she's her husband's Daemon. And I love that about her. And I love to see her growing into this role. She absolutely is fire and blood. And I can't wait to see what we see next from her. Switch to Rhaenyra. She's again doing some more of her doublespeak when she sends Sir Alfred to Harrenhal to go check on Daemon and see what he's doing. Sir Alfred wants to know if he's being punished for talking back in the small council meetings, but Rhaenyra says that she's just trying to send someone she trusts to deliver the message and to try to reason with Daemon. Rhaenyra seems to have figured out that a chance, just kind of a chance, that Daemon could be raising an army for himself. And she wants Sir Alfred to get to the bottom of things. And her only message is that she would much like to finish the conversation that they had. Now, we then switched back to Daemon, still laying in that cursed bed. Like, what the dude? He's laying in that bed and he's trying to get some sleep again. And once again, Daemon is awakened in the middle of the night, but this time by the River Lords who have come to Harrenhal at the hour of the wolf. Now, I went ahead and I did the legwork and found out that the hour of the wolf is between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. You're welcome. Anyway, Daemon is not happy to be woken up as anyone would be unhappy to be woken up at that time for some damn company. Like, yo, don't call me, ring my bell, don't show up in the hour of the wolf. That is my sacred time. Do not enter. I'm with him on that. And the issue here, though, is that the Brackens have been forced by the Blackwoods to fight for Daemon. But their sacred septs on Bracken lands were looted and burned. Now, we already know about the septs, right? The septs are the churches of the seven, the new gods. Those are the same gods that the Greens worship. And I believe we see that in Game of Thrones, the septum get blown up by Cersei for all of my OG Game of Thrones fans. So we're familiar with the septums. The fact that they were looted and burned, these people, they consider them their religious deities. That's kind of messed up. And not only that, but the fields and the farms and a bunch of other crimes. It sounds like the Brackens just took things way too far in the context of what's fair in war. And they did all of this while wearing the banner of House Targaryen. Damn it. And it's in this moment that Daemon once again hallucinates. He hallucinates that his second wife, Lena, appears before Daemon and asks him if he's been looking after their girls. And this is wild because I keep seeing, obviously, we're seeing that Daemon has maternal issues. And I think Daemon loved this wife. Like, I don't know if he married any of his other wives for love, but I think he loved her. She had his children. And he's being haunted by her now. He kind of, like, when I think about season 1, when Daemon was with his wife in that episode, they left Westeros. They were living in the free cities. He left all of that nonsense behind. So this is really important, and it relates to how he relates to the women in his life. And we also know that Daemon ain't watching those damn kids. We know that. And then the Brackens have this moment where they get even more brazen. And they say that they should have known better than to trust a guy who ordered the end of a child in his mother's arms. And damn, how many people know it was Daemon? How many? Is this news spreading that the prince's end wasn't at the command of Rhaenyra? Like, are they really starting to identify that this Daemon and not Rhaenyra's doing? Because apparently everybody knows. Everybody knows. And the Riverlands tell him straight up that they will not raise their banners for a tyrant. And that's rough because it's rough because Daemon is obviously getting his legs cut from under him. It's kind of not rough for Rhaenyra, or it's a good thing for Rhaenyra to show that she is not fully aligned with Daemon. I don't know how this is going to relate back to phrase, but we'll get there. We then switch to Rhaenyra, who it seems, you know, with her plan with the Mysteria is working, right? She's distancing herself from Daemon in the eyes of the citizens, and they have this woman that they sent to King's Landing. I don't think we learn her name, do we? Right? Let me see. We might learn her name, but we see this woman that Mysteria sent to King's Landing. And she ends up talking to one of the gold cloaks in order to get smuggled inside. But what's really interesting is then we switch to see that she meets up. Oh, we do learn her name. She gets to meet, her name is Elinda, Elinda, Elinda. And she meets up with that same girl that was the girl who got assaulted by King Aemon when he was still a prince. And this right here, like, I didn't know how important she would be, but she keeps showing up. And I'm kind of liking how, like, the show introduces all these characters that we kind of, you know, at least OG Game of Thrones people are probably used to kind of dismissing side characters to a degree. But every single character, I feel, at least all the blondes that have been introduced in the show, seem like they've been pretty important so far, right? Like, I thought she was just going to be a one-trick pony when we saw her in season 1, but she done came back twice now, so I'm curious as to see where they're going to go with her. We then switch to see Lord Corlys on his throne while looking and considering becoming Rhaenyra's hand. And maybe he'll do it, you know. We then switch to see Aemon standing in the room staring at the Iron Throne, but somehow sensing his sister, Helena, who asks him if it was worth the price. Creepy? And switch to see Alicent sitting with Aegon as he's looking a lot better than I expected despite his broken leg. And he even mutters the word mummy as she walks out the room. We then switch to see Rhaenyra sitting and reading. And this is when Jace returns to Dragonstone, right? And Rhaenyra is reading about Visenya and tells us that she was Vhagar's first rider. Now, Visenya is also the first wielder of Dark Sister, and she was the sister wife of King Aegon, right? Because Aegon the Conqueror married his sister, who became his wife. So that's his sister wife. So she was the first rider of Vhagar, but she was also the first wielder of Dark Sister. Now, Dark Sister is the Valyrian steel sword that's used by Daemon. Now, I think that kind of interesting that Daemon uses a woman's sword, which ties back into his trauma from not knowing his mother and being rebuked by a dragon Meleys. But I think it's kind of interesting in that they keep tying Daemon back to women in ways that we wouldn't expect. Anyway, Rhaenyra and Jace talk about the war and how Jace was able to get the twins to align with them, but Rhaenyra feels stifled by always staying behind. Excuse me. Now, Jace tries to be brave, but then Rhaenyra reminds him that she ain't worried about him. She's worried about Vhagar and losing another one of her sons to that dragon bitch. Rhaenyra knows that she doesn't really have a good answer for Vhagar and talks about how she might have to get in the fight herself. And Jace that we got 2 dragons right here. We got 2 dragons in Dragonstone that could go up against Vhagar. One of them is Vermithor, and the other is Silverwing. Now, we saw Vermithor way back when Daemon made his way down into the crypts to get those dragon eggs for his kids, I think. And that was that big, giant, spiky bronze dragon that looked like his head was the size of a van. Yeah, that dude right there, that's Vermithor. Silverwing, I don't think we actually get to see the Silverwing yet. I don't think we saw him. But these are a couple of the dragons that don't have riders yet. And Jace gets the great idea to just look into their bloodline. there are ones who married into their families or their names, but they have the blood of a Targaryen and could potentially be dragon riders. And boom, that right there takes us immediately to where we get to think about that dude who claimed to be Daemon's brother or uncle or nephew, the one who was in the brothel, that dude with the white hair. That also allows us to think about Hugh. Hugh's got white hair. I just pointed out Hugh had some white hair. We also have potentially Alan of Hull, right? Alan of Hull is potentially a dragon rider as well. Why not, right? He has Valyrian blood. Maybe Corlys himself. I don't think Corlys has a dragon, so why not? If you got Valyrian blood, you can try out for Rhaenyra's team right now. It's open tryouts. So we got a lot of things to think about in this episode, right? We had all of those big moments where Daemon is losing all the faith of all the people of Harrenhal. And honestly, it seems like they're just taking Harrenhal out of the fight. Like, I don't even know if they're going to be a part of the equation anymore. We also have everything with Rhaenyra working with the Mysaria and aligning closer and closer with her. Right? One thing I felt like happened in this episode is that Rhaenyra is starting to take apart the members or take apart the council in the way he doesn't like it. It seems like she might be starting the early stages of building it up in a council that she does like. And I'm excited to see that. We also had that moment with Rhaena was out in the Eyrie with Sir Lady Jane. And I'm curious to see if the Vale comes and shows up kind of like they did in Game of Thrones and the Battle of the Bastards. I would love to have one of those moments again. There were a lot of big moments in this episode. The biggest thing was probably my man Jace here stepping up and doing what needed to be done. So I'm proud of him for flying out to the phrase. I'm kind of disappointed that it was the phrase. You know, it was not his fault. He doesn't know. He's just trying his best. But I am kind of disappointed that, damn, it had to be like, damn, that's gonna. So I'm curious to see what happens in the next episode with maybe Corlys to be the hand. Maybe he's going to advise them on this. Maybe he's had some experience with them. I don't know how that's going to affect their interactions with the council. I'm curious to see where things go from here. But yeah, that was the whole episode. I'm excited to see what all of y'all think. For all of you who are watching on Instagram, I'm sorry I haven't seen any of y'all comments. I'm gonna go check out on the comments in a second. I got y'all. For all of y'all who are watching on YouTube, I love y'all. All 4 of y'all, do me a favor. All 4 of y'all, give this video a like before y'all bounce. 4 likes, I'm gonna be checking for y'all. But let me know what you guys think. I'm here. I got a little bit of time. What did y'all guys think of this? So let me know in the comments. Or maybe I'll even open up this call-in thing. Let's see if I can get y'all to call in and tell me what you guys thought of this most recent episode. Oh, no, it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge, so I might have to save that for the next time. Oh, I see you, Gothic. I appreciate you. You stuck around for the whole show. Let me put you up here. Great story building without rushing. So I like that too, right? So first off, the show is moving kind of quick, right? We already had our first dragon skirmish in like the 4th episode. I do like that they feel like that they're building up more before they just dive back into battle. I feel like, and this is just my theory, this isn't anything based off of the books or any spoilers or anything like that. I don't even know the spoilers, but I do feel like we're going to get another battle this season. It seems like the show is really setting us up to at least have another battle, at least one more big moment where we're going to have a dragon on dragon fight. And I would love to see it. I don't know how quickly that we could probably have new dragon riders found or trained or where they could go with that. But I am excited to see where they might go with that moving forward, because I think that would be really exciting to give us at least one more dragon skirmish before ending out the season. But yeah, I really agree with you. They are doing some great story building without moving too quick. They are moving fast, but they do right moments to pause and kind of level set where we're going from here. But I appreciate you, Gothic Chick. You know what? I'm gonna do something I wasn't doing before. For all 4 or 5 of y'all that are sticking around, stick around for one more second. I got something for y'all. I've been thinking about doing this for a while. I have some things to give away. This is something I really want to do at the end of my live streams for those of you who stick around for the whole thing. I have some things that I give away. I get stuff from the studios. I get stuff being a film critic, a movie critic all the time. So I figured I might as well start gifting some things. One of the things that I have to gift away is The Wit and Wisdom of Tyrion Lannister by George R.R. Martin. This was a New York Times bestseller. I want to give this away to one of you watchers out there. I also have a lot more swag. I want to start doing more giveaways because, I a lot of stuff that you guys don't get to see. I got a lot of movies. I got a lot of items. Hold on. Let me just grab some items. I'm gonna show you guys real quick. But I'm gonna tell you right now, guys, if you want it, you a winner. But I want to pick one more winner. I want to mail out some stuff to you guys. Don't even worry about it. If you want me to mail it to a PO box, your friend's box, that's fine. But I do have some stuff. Oh, I am back. Yes. Now, I've been collecting some stuff for you guys for quite some time to give giveaways. Obviously, for all my Comic Con fans, of course, a very own exclusive New York Comic Con magazine. This is not for sale. You're not going to find this anywhere. For those of you who love kind of stuff, this is stuff that you really won't see for sale, right? This is the screenplay for Creed 3. This is something that you really only see given to critics and some of the families and crew. I want to give this as a giveaway. I have a couple movies. Beau is Afraid. This is my critics copy. Rustin, my critics copy. White Noise, my critics copy. I get a few other things. What is this? The Zone of Interest. This is obviously a major motion picture. I want to give this out as a critics copy. May, December. And I have a whole bunch of stuff, some tees, some sweatshirts, some books. I just really want to start showing some appreciation to the fans who stick it out with me. Because, like, I got to be honest with you, this stuff isn't easy. It's hard. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of courage. I'm not always the most comfortable being in front of camera, even though I might act like it. And I just really want to show my appreciation for those of you who are rocking with me. I love you. I appreciate y'all. Gothic Chick, you definitely down. Do me a favor. Email me or leave your email in the comments, or email me. You can have my email at promotions at themovieblog.com. You can send me something over at that address and I will send you a box full of stuff. It's going to be some nice surprises. You're going to like it. And I'm going to give away 2 of them. So Gothic Chick, you guaranteed one, and we're going to see who's going to get the other one. But for those of you who are watching on Instagram, you're eligible too. Yeah, I just got to come on over to YouTube and hit the like, or I'm going to do you a favor. Yeah, leave a comment on this video on Instagram, and I'm going to see what I could do over there. But I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Thank y'all, every one of y'all, for rocking with me for this whole hour and some change. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, and y'all spent some time with me. Thank you. But yeah, every week we're doing giveaways. I got a lot of stuff to give away. A lot of stuff. Maybe I'll even give away some signed comics. Who knows? All of these are signed. Who knows? Anyway, thanks for checking it out. If you like this video, please give this video a like. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe, or just watch some more of my videos. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to check you all later. Peace.